No. Listen. I thought I understood hot flashes.
Yeah.
Hearing all about this growing up, you get hot flashes. I thought I understood. Like, oh, I'm hot.
Mm-hmm.
No.
No, something
No, it
just
is
totally.
like, and it starts in here, and it just and you can't even describe it. It's like I am producing heat,
Heaving, breathing,
flame,
breathless flames.
on-
Flames on the side of my face. Welcome to A Spirited Life. I'm Mark.
I'm Christine. This week we're going to be talking about big, hairy, audacious goals. What are they? How they differ from other goals, and a few examples.
We're also going to be taking a look at a whiskey that was born out of a big, hairy, audacious goal that a couple guys up north decided to work on and bring to fruition. We'll also talk about what filled our spirit this week. We want to live a spirited life. We're documenting our journey towards financial independence while balancing that with living in the present and enjoying our time in the journey. While we want to work towards financial independence, there's no guarantee for what tomorrow will bring. We don't want to wait to enjoy our lives because tomorrow isn't promised. We want to share our journey to help keep ourselves intentional and accountable, and we invite you to come along with us as we work towards living a spirited life. So today we're going to be talking about big, hairy, audacious goals, and we've selected a whiskey that is born out of a big, hairy, audacious goal of creating an entirely new distillery. Dan and Sean, a part of the Bourbon Junkies channel, have created EverNorth Spirits Distillery, and the Essence single barrel rye that we have here with us that we'll be sampling today is a result of that. And that is an example of a big, hairy, audacious goal that they had set. And they asked themselves the question at some point, hey, what if we were able to create our own distillery and start to produce our own whiskey that we can share out with our community and select some really good barrels and age them and everything like that. And this is the product of that. They have been successful in being able to get their distillery off the ground.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about some EverNorth rye whiskey. This is barrel number 2. On the back here, it says it's aged 7 years. Proof is 118. The mash bill is a 95.5. One of my favorite types of mash bills for a rye. And the state of distillation is Indiana. So they kind of let you know all their facts in the back. There's no secrets, nothing hiding.
Yeah. And one of the things that Dan and Sean have talked about as a part of EverNorth Spirits is they want to be really big on transparency. So they've even talked about the fact that this is that 95.5 rye. This is MGP that was distilled in Indiana. They are more than happy to share when they can where the whiskey is coming from, where they're doing their contract distilling, or where they're buying these barrels from, so that you know exactly what you're getting when you're buying their whiskey. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. It's nice.
All right. So just taking a look at it. It's got a nice, deep
Coppery.
amber color. Yep. Getting into that copper range. Getting down the nose.
Mm. It smells like happiness and everything wonderful.
Very spicy. Very lovely spice on the nose on this one.
The allspice.
Yeah. Lots of great baking spices.
Some of the grainy grassiness.
A little bit of grainy grassiness. I even get a little bit of mint.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah. It's like that. If you remember the old, was it the spearmint gum that was the white spearmint gum?
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit of that. At least
Winter
for me.
mint.
Yeah, a little winter mint. Yeah. All right, let's get it on the palate.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Minty, herbally, spicy.
Yeah, this is a well-aged quintessential rye. Just overall loveliness, nice, spicy, some good barrel notes.
Lasts a decent amount.
Yeah.
With a late lingering hug.
Yeah, I'm just getting the hug right now, about 20, 30 seconds after taking the sip. And that finish is still going on this. Really just a lot of rich flavors that hit the back of the palate.
It has like an effervescence to it. I don't know if it's that mint on the palate, but some have like that sugary, that alcoholic-y, that something that just kind of sticks in my mouth. This kind of has like, it's like little minty scrubbing bubbles.
It was a really enjoyable sip and just a really well done bottle of whiskey from them for sure. This won't be one that you'll be able to find regularly out on the shelves just yet. They're working on being able to get wider distribution. But if you are interested in that, you can check them out either at EverNorth Spirits, or you can check out their YouTube channel, Bourbon Junkies, to find out more information about EverNorth and how you can get some of their various different bourbons, ryes, and American whiskeys that they're going to be offering. All right, so today we're going to be talking about Big Hairy Audacious Goals, or BHAGs. What is a big, hairy, audacious goal? And sometimes people substitute a different word for the letter A. Sometimes they use aggressive.
That's not the word I was thinking of.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about what a big, hairy, audacious goal is. So when you think about defining what a big, hairy, audacious goal is, how do you think about that? How do you think about it in your head?
Something that is going to take a lot of time,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of effort, a lot of planning, a lot of perseverance.
Yep.
Something like us becoming rich.
I mean, that actually is a very big and broad version of a big, hairy, audacious goal. The guys who wrote the book Built to Last actually defined it, and the way that they define it and the way that they talk about it, you're actually spot on in terms of something that's going to take a long time. What they said is these are usually things that are going to be running for like 10 to 25 years. So pretty long time in terms of what you're trying to accomplish. And they're going to be very large. They're going to be something that is going to be monumental, life-changingly different. And they are also designed to be something that a team can rally around or a team can focus on.
It's something to buy into and then rally around and then bring everyone back to when you start falling behind.
Yes, it's something that continues to be that horizontal thing in the distance that you're working towards, that you know that you're working towards that, but you're not going to get there tomorrow. And so you have to continually be going back and looking at that over and over again. And if you do start to stray off the path, you're absolutely right. That becomes the thing that you go back and reflect on and look at and go, this is where we're trying to get to. This is what it looks like when we get to the end of this journey, or at least this part of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
One of the big examples that often gets used when talking about big, hairy, audacious goals is when John F. Kennedy was talking about going to the moon.
Oh, I totally forgot about it. That is a big goal. So it's like literally shooting for the moon.
Yes, when they think about where they were at.
Oh, so when I say I'm shooting for the moon, I'm literally referencing a very known big, hairy, audacious goal. Oh, but literally you shooting for the moon. Like they literally were shooting for the moon.
Yeah. And that at the time was
wow, my mind is now blown.
Given where they were at in the space race and in the project and everything like that, there were a lot of people who went, I don't even know if that's feasible or reasonable for us to set as a target. And yet there we were landing on the moon in 1969.
So it's one of those, you set really high expectations and sometimes you rise to those high expectations.
Absolutely. In that particular case, they were successful. In some cases, even if you set a big, hairy, audacious goal, sometimes you may not make it there, but you get close. And if you get close, and you stay on the path and you keep on working towards that, you'll eventually get there. Maybe not in the original time frame that you thought, but you'll make good progress towards that big, hairy, audacious thing that you want to accomplish.
Or even that, even if you don't hit it, you still have gained so much. Even if you don't hit 100% success, you still succeed. You're not a big failure.
You may not hit exactly that goal, but you will have made great strides and great progress and accomplished great things as a part of working on that big, hairy, audacious goal. So let's talk about why this versus other types of goal setting. Why this as opposed to setting a year-long goal, or why this as opposed to setting a goal for the quarter or the month or the week or whatever.
The first thing I think of is really it encourages you to stretch and keep digging deep instead of setting goals that are relatively easy to obtain. By having a long-term, very big, hairy, audacious goal, it really requires you to dig deep and challenge yourself.
Yeah. I would agree that you have to dig deep and really be thoughtful about where you want to go to look at that type of time horizon, a time horizon well beyond a year. And sure, it's probably impossible to know where any of us are going to be in 10 years, right? Or 25 years or things like that. But you can set the intention along the way at a very high level, very broadly at times, but there you could even have some specifics there and things like that you're working towards. But being able to have something that you're working towards in that way, and being able to say, that's the direction I want to go. No matter what, there's probably going to be some twists and some turns that are going to happen as a result of what we do in the meantime. And I may even have to make some adjustments to some of those shorter term plans. But the long-term plan and the bigger vision overall about where we want to get to and what that goal looks like and what success looks like on that very, very long time horizon is that. And so thinking about, yes, we want to be able to land on the moon, something still very specific, but they knew that it had a very long time horizon and lots of things that they were going to have to weave through and learn in the meantime. That's all, as you referenced, that's all the Apollo missions. All the Apollo missions were building up towards that. And so every single one of those missions had a purpose. This mission is testing this particular piece of the rocket. This mission is testing our ability to just even go around the moon and get a rocket to the moon and get the capsule to the moon. 10 was the one where they said, hey, we're basically going to get to the moon and we're going to practice and we're going to go around it and then we're going to come back, but we're not landing.
We're doing a drive-by.
Pretty much. So having a big, hairy, audacious goal allows you to set that really far horizontal goal that you're working on and be able to say, hey, that's what I'm working towards. And then when you're looking at your closer horizon goals, so you're looking at what do I want to accomplish this year? What do I want to accomplish in this quarter? Those things can connect to that big, hairy, audacious goal, helping to move you forward in that direction. So if you want to have longer term planning for a lifetime, potentially, or at least a good portion of your lifetime, and you want to be able to have something that is big and hairy and audacious, that is going to take a lot of work and a lot of focus and a lot of effort to get to, that gives you a way to be able to talk about, this is where I'm going, this is what that looks like. Here's what I need to do this year to help me move in that direction. Here's what I need to be able to do this quarter to help me move towards that goal this year that helps me move towards that big, hairy, audacious goal. So that's what we've got as far as big, hairy, audacious goals. That's how we use them or why we would potentially want to use them. How does that apply to us? What is our big, hairy, audacious goals when it comes to finances? You talked a little bit about it before, but let's talk about it a little bit more in depth.
Being rich.
It is important to be both rich and friends and have a rich and spirited life where we're doing a lot of stuff. That certainly is important.
We also want the money.
But we do want the money. We're not...
Money.
Yeah, we're not going to lie about that. Like, we want the money. We want to be able to be financially independent and have financial freedom. And we're going to say that unapologetically. Specifically when it comes to the big, hairy, audacious goal, when it comes to finances specifically, in 10 years, we want to have invested $1 million. So that is a very clear time horizon, and that is a very clear but big and hairy and audacious goal in terms of how much we would actually be saving.
That is a very big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yeah. And frankly, I think one of the most powerful things is I don't know that we can do that. I don't know that it's actually possible, but I want to be able to work on that goal, and I want to be able to make that goal a reality. And by having that as a horizontal goal, to your point, it opens up the possibilities. You start asking that question, how might we? So how might we get to the point where in 10 years we've literally invested $1 million?
How might we do that, but yet still live a spirited life?
So the finances piece, as far as being able to say, hey, we want to be able to have invested $1 million over a 10-year period. And that's not including the growth of whatever happens in the meantime. That's literally us taking $1 million and putting that into investments. That definitely is a big, hairy, audacious goal that is going to help us with being able to say, yeah, we've gotten to financial independence, we've gotten to financial freedom. We've also talked about a different big, hairy, audacious goal that we're working towards and trying to shape that one up a little bit more. I think the best way I would maybe describe it, and I'm interested to see how you would describe it, but I want to be able to have built an oasis that we can get away to when we need to get some downtime and some relaxation and some rest time. What about you? How would you describe it?
I would describe it as some land or some property that we could get away, that I could do stuff on, like cut trees and burn stuff and build stuff and get all muddy and dirty. Like, I don't necessarily want something that's already pre-made, but I want to be able to work and be outside and be happy.
And I think that looks a little different than our current house, because it would be a little bit more space. It would be space to get out and explore a little bit, maybe do a little bit of walking or a little bit of hiking, maybe have some trails set up on it.
Yep. Neighbors wouldn't be like literally right next door.
Yeah. And being able, I think the other word that you talked about and the word that I use where I see a connection is it's a place that we've built.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's not just something where it's necessarily turnkey. It's something that we have put some effort into ourselves to help shape it and help make it what we want it to be.
Yeah.
It's not to say that we necessarily would lay every single brick and build a cabin from raw logs or anything.
Or
although we might, I don't know.
Or just like the shell, like the shell of a house, like kind of, I don't know. I'd like to have a lot more hands-on activities.
Yeah. And so you can hear just by the way that we're talking about this particular big, hairy, audacious goal, this one probably still needs a little bit more shape. But we know that it's out there. We know the kind of the bones of what we want to accomplish with this one. Some of the more particular things we're still working on in terms of trying to figure out exactly what the shape and scope of that looks like. But I would say that we're at least both on the same page in terms of what that potentially looks like when you close your eyes. While it may not look exactly the same in my head as it does in yours, it's at least close enough that we know that we're working towards that same thing in that longer time horizon. This isn't something that we're going to be able to do this year.
No.
This isn't something that we're going to be able to do maybe even in the next 2 to 3 years. It's going to be something that we're going to have to work up and build towards over time. And while that may be disappointing, because I know sometimes both you and I
have no patience.
Once we've made up our mind on something, we can be like, okay, let's go.
No.
Like, this is not one of those things where that's going to be possible. And that's okay. Having the big, hairy, audacious goal will help keep us in line with what we're trying to accomplish and remind us of where we're trying to get to as we go through all of those steps. So being able to be clear about what that big, hairy, audacious goal is will help to make sure that we stay on track, will help to make sure we make that a reality.
And it'll kind of help us from making choices that are a little more compromising to get it faster than actually getting kind of more quality in what we want.
Yeah, I think just because you have an audacious goal doesn't necessarily mean that it always needs to be aggressive, where it's like, okay, this has to happen today. By it being audacious, it actually helps maintain the quality of whatever it is that you're trying to work towards and make sure that you're not cutting those corners, make sure that you're not just trying to get there too fast or not really see the vision all the way through.
You're not settling just to get it done now, but you're actually really putting a mindful and intent into what you're doing to get to the end outcome.
So we have these big, hairy, audacious goals that we've set, and some of the things that we've been talking about over the last several episodes are things that potentially help us with working towards that. Let's talk a little bit about some of the things that are connecting up to that and how they support that.
I think the first one that comes to mind is budgeting. Setting a budget really kind of helps set us in the right direction to start saving the money to invest.
Yeah, being able to understand where your money is going. If you're going to have a big, hairy, audacious goal like what we've set, you got to know where your money's going. And you have to be disciplined about making sure that the money is going to those goals and that you're making progress on those goals. And the setting a budget is a key for our financial big, hairy, audacious goal, because if we don't follow that budget, we're not going to be investing enough money to be able to hit the targets that we need to along the way.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else that we're focusing on as a goal that would help set us up?
So other things that we're doing is we've talked about, some of the spending and saving plan and reviewing and adjusting that on a consistent and regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
That is that part of budgeting that helps us with that, but it's also the habit of adjusting that as we go.
Okay.
So because we're going to be looking at that on a quarterly basis, and we're going to be saying, okay, how are we doing, and doing those check-ins, that's something that helps support to give us information to know that we've been going in the right direction, and the things that we've been doing have been working, to help us both with those shorter term goals and then that big, hairy, audacious goal that we're working towards in the end. So what do you think about some of our other shorter term goals, yearly goals, quarterly goals that we're setting that may not obviously relate to the big, hairy, audacious goal, but we know are connected to that? What do you think about that?
I think in looking at our health goals, I think by setting our goals to maintain a healthy lifestyle, or as healthy as we can be lifestyle, will help in the long term. One, it helps keep us healthy to be able to keep working and making money. And then two, by maintaining a healthy lifestyle physically and mentally, it will help cut back on some of the spending that might be done on things that could be prevented by maintaining a healthy weight, maintaining your blood sugar, maintaining your stress levels, all the other things that you might use medications or go to the doctors a lot for, things that you could try to manage on your own at home, cost less in the long run. So you could put that money towards the big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yeah. And there's the thing that you talked about earlier, where you want to be able to enjoy that time that you get to at the end. And so if you're not doing that in balance, you're not going to be able to enjoy that big, hairy, audacious goal. Inherently, just getting to being able to be financially independent and rich doesn't mean a lot if you can't actually enjoy it and get out there and live life.
That's very true. Yeah, I don't want to save up and invest $1 million and then have poor health because of the choices that I made and have to use that money on medical costs.
Yeah. So they go hand in hand, and all of those things are supportive of that big, hairy, audacious goal as a part of our life. I don't know that you're going to include that last thing that I just said. It was kind of awkward and a little weird.
It was very Christopher Walken-y, our life.
I was trying to figure out what we were going to do with this big, hairy, audacious goal. Is absolutely marvelous about the fact that we were able to set this goal and work our way towards it.
Having that big, hairy, audacious goal of saving $1 million in 10 years is going to have us focusing a lot on our financial aspects, but at the same time, we need to make sure that we balance out the rest of life and live a whole life and not just hyper-focused on money.
So I think what you're saying is that there really needs to be a holistic view on that big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yeah, obviously, we're going to have to focus on our financials, but at the same time, we need to make sure we're still living a quality life.
Every episode, we like to take a moment to reflect back on our week and think about what filled our spirit. Christine, what filled your spirit this week?
This week I started my indoor growing, my first little like grow lights and warming mat with some little seeds and seedlings, and that someone I met through Whiskey Tube is actually helping me get that going through.
Awesome.
How about you?
I am trying to rebuild my habit of reading. Part of what I have set for a goal is that I want to have a learning goal, and I want to be doing reading, and I've been out of the habit of reading. So I took a little bit of time, and I made a little bit of time on Sunday over at the coffee house just to go and spend some time reading. It was harder than I thought it was going to be. It's really hard to stay focused. My attention span has gotten really short. So I need to work on reading and rebuilding my attention span, and it was nice to be able to make a little bit of progress in that. That's everything that we have for this week. We're going to talk a little bit about what we're going to do next week. Next week's episode is going to be a little bit different, where we've been talking about finances and we've been talking about goal setting and things like that. This one is going to be a little bit more of the spirited side of things, getting out and living life. Christine, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, next week we're going to kind of recap. I said kinda. Now I hear your voice in my head telling me don't say kinda. Okay.
You can just pick right up on where you want to start. So. Christine, tell us a little bit about that.
Next week we're going to be talking about some fun we had. We're going to be meeting up with some whiskey friends, hanging out, enjoying some spirits, and just really having a great time.
Join us then, and in the meantime, we hope you live a spirited life. The topics and information on a spirited life should not be taken as financial advice and should be considered for entertainment purposes only.